Welcome back to Straight Facts, joined by the man himself, Premier League champion, Big Steve. How are you, mate?
Feeling absolutely championian. Got me champagne there ready. That's not getting popped yet, though. But
is that Man City branded?
Man City branded. It's sponsored my channel, Ballers Champagne. Get out of man, Ballers.
Ballers Champagne. I like that. I like that.
Nice, man. They do a few collabs with other clubs, Liverpool. I think they do United and that. They're quite good, man.
I'll have a little look. We'll check them out. Ballers
Champagne.
Ballers. You know, I'm just going to Google it now as I forget, right? Ballers Champagne. There we go. I'll go and check that out. And if they fancy sponsoring anybody, give the Terrace a shout. Oh, they've got some nice bottles there, you know, already seen. Oh, I'm going to take a little look. Right. You've got to be over 18. You've got to enter your date of birth, though, to enter the website. And you've got to be over 18, people. I'm just letting you all know that now. And I just put the date of 2023. It wouldn't let me in. Of course it wouldn't, because you wouldn't be 18, would you? Oh, yeah, they've got some nice stuff on there, mate.
I mean, mate, our bottoms light up and that. Spot on.
Yeah, I'm liking a little bit of that there. But lots to talk about on today's show, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking some big transfer stories that have broke today. Harry Kane, Mason Mount, Declan Rice. Could they be on their way to Manchester United? We're going to take a look at Arsenal and their pursuit of Gundogan. We're going to get, of course, Big Steve's take on that as a City fan. Arne Slot rejecting Spurs. We're going to have a little bit of a chat on that as well. Chelsea looking like they're going in for Ugarte, who is linked with a big move to PSG, but a number of big journalists have said that Chelsea are going to match the 60 million euro bid. So we're going to take a look at them, get Steve's opinion, get your opinion, and have some discussions on them. Of course, look at City as being champions and the run into the treble as well. So lots to talk about. Make sure the like button has been smashed. Make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace. But I wanted to start off with the news, first of all, about Harry Kane, Mason Mount, and Declan Rice. Man United looking at all three of them players. What's your initial gut reaction to the link to all three of those individuals?
I don't know. I think Harry Kane, yeah, I get that. He's a proper goal scorer, running down a dead end at Tottenham, looking for a way out. I think he missed his move to City. Now City's got Haaland. We don't need him. I don't think Liverpool need him. I don't think he goes to Arsenal. I think Man United's a great option for him. But the other two, not really. I can't see it. Mason Mount, I don't think he's ever been a great favourite player of mine. I think he's okay, but you know, if he was that well revered, why is Chelsea, with all the money they've got, why are they not keeping him there? You know what I mean? Why are they not breaking the bank and keeping him? Whether he just needs a fresh link up, I don't know. But I think Mason Mount's bullshit. I think Declan Rice, bullshit. I think Harry Kane maybe have legs. Linked with Neymar as well. You know what I mean? So it's silly season, isn't it? They're thinking Man United's getting took over, maybe. Let's throw a few mad names, get the fans riled up again, or maybe distract the fans from what's really going on there. So I don't know. I can see Man United going for Kane, I'll be honest. And I think that'd be a great signing for them. But the other two, I don't see it. I see Declan Rice at Arsenal. I can see Mason Mount at Liverpool.
And I love what you said there. I think on the Harry Kane deal, there's a few strands to this. Man United keep pushing this out that he is the number one target this summer, and he is our priority target this summer, and they want to get it done quickly. I have no idea how you get things done quickly with Daniel Levy. However, what's come out today is really interesting. The story that's come out today from some, I'm told, and you can only go by what people from that region tell you, from some sort of fairly reliable sources in Madrid, that Harry Kane has now been offered to Real Madrid and they're studying the potential move for the striker. And I think what's really interesting about that is that I feel like Harry Kane has made a transfer request to his team and said, I want to go this summer. It didn't work out 2 summers ago to Man City for one reason or another, but I've got to get out now. And look, Real Madrid, they come in for him. They can certainly turn his head, but I do believe he wants to break that Premier League record. And I think Man United have got to almost use that to their advantage. Although, you watched Real Madrid against you. I know he isn't going to give him any more speed, but they need more quality in that team in terms of getting back to being a great side. They're a good team. They're a very good team, but you were just a level above them. And I think that they need players like Harry Kane, like Mbappe as an example, Jude Bellingham that's going in. They need that. But yeah, for me, look, I think Man United will sign Harry Kane. This is not an in the know sort of guess or anything. This is just me as a football fan. I think Harry Kane in a Man United shirt is absolutely written in the stars. Declan Rice, do you think Arsenal will pay the £100 million, or do you feel like West Ham are kind of using Man United here to try and drum that up and create a bit of a bidding war? Do you think that's what's going on a little bit?
Yeah, if I'm West Ham chairman, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting everyone on the case, bigging Declan Rice up tremendous. And if Jude Bellingham's going for X, Y, Z, then I'm saying, well, he plays alongside Declan Rice in England midfield. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It is what it is. I think Declan Rice just needs to move on now. I can see Chelsea maybe going in for him, but Chelsea are just linked with everyone. This Fernandes guy, yeah, what did he cost?
What, 120, 130 million?
There you go, right? Well, let me tell you this. I watched Manchester City's third team beat them the other day 1-0, and they are shit. And I mean shit. I watched him running around in midfield. Awful guy. Crap. And I'll tell you what, they're doomed, man, them. They are doomed. Raheem Sterling was buzzing because City fans gave him a round of applause. It was embarrassing. And the Chelsea, just all that argument, well, you can do anything with money. Well, let me tell you this. You fucking can't, because they spent 600 million and they are absolute dog shit of a team. That Fernandes looks well out of his depth. I've seen him spray a ball about 3 to 4 times this season where I thought, that wasn't a bad pass. But for 130 million, he's not getting grip of games. He's not controlling it. He's not winning midfield battles against anyone. No one's coming off the pitch saying, fucking hell, I've had a rough afternoon today. That Fernandes has smashed me all over the park. I've seen better performances from Fred and McTominay at United than him. And that's not trolling. It's fucking true.
It just made me laugh.
Just like, if Man City had bought a midfielder for 130 million like him and he was putting in them performances like he's doing, we'd be ripped apart about ruining football and that. But do you know what I mean? But, you know, we sign Ilkay Gundogan for 20 million. You know what I mean? That's the levels of this shit. That guy, Fernandes, is horrendous, mate. Horrendous. That Todd Bowley just fell for the World Cup hype on that. If he's worth 130 million, what's Alvarez worth? You know what I mean? The Alvarez, young kid, 17 goals in 22 starts, first season in the Premier League, won the World Cup. Got to be worth 200 million on them prices.
Do you feel like Enzo Fernandez will improve next year when they have, well, I say a better manager? I know you don't rate Poch, but so you don't think there's much chance he's going to get better?
Well, there's obviously a player in there because he won the World Cup, so we know he's a. But what I'm saying is, at the minute, he doesn't look like that kind of player. I just think they were cherry picking players and not thinking about the system. I think if they bring somebody in that complements him alongside him, then you've probably got a player there. But I don't see it at the minute. I don't see it. And they keep, we're getting linked with this guy. We're going to go with this guy. We're going to go with this guy. They're on about Todd Bowley stepping down now and going to another role. So I just don't know what's going on there. But Declan Rice, like you said before, I think people are getting his price up. If that Fernandes is worth 130, Declan Rice is worth 150.
Well, that's what they're going to aim for. And I almost feel like this summer, and the window, the Premier League season hasn't even ended yet, but the works began. But I almost feel like there needs to be a signing made to almost set a marker. Because if Declan Rice goes for 90 million, say, I think that helps price everybody else. Because we know that players are not just priced on their footballing ability, their commercial sense, their social media following, all that plays a part. If there's a player that's signed for a certain amount of money, it's going to kind of set as a benchmark to what people will cost this summer. And I think you'll look at Enzo's such an interesting one because City paid above the buyout clause. They paid above it, and they did. I think they did that so they could pay it over a prolonged period of time because buyout clauses in Portugal and Spain, you have to pay the cash up front, and they essentially didn't want to pay 100 million pounds up front, so they offered like 20 million over it, so they could pay it over 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So if that's not a true barometer for the value of the player, if that makes sense. They've done it for a particular reason. So it's going to be a very interesting summer. And again, I'd love Declan Rice at Man United, but I think United fans, I did a video this morning saying we're linked to Rabiot and Mount. And I basically said that if we sign those two as our main midfielders this summer, I'd be embarrassed because they're better than what we've got. Mount is a better replacement.
What's happened to the Man United scouting network, though? Because look at people like Brighton who are going up to Ecuador, mad places like that, finding these players for peanuts, and they're absolute superstars. And then you go Man United, just seem to be getting these older players at the older end of the tree and bringing them in like ready-made, but they're not. It's not even ready-made. I mean, they've got Ahmed Diallo. What did they pay for him? And he was on loan at Sunderland.
Well, I think this is the problem Man United have had. We've bought a number of young players. You mentioned there Diallo. We had Palestri. We've got some Garnacho. Obviously, is an academy player, but we bought him young through the academy. There's 2 Spanish fullbacks that we have now. I'm not as close to our academy as I used to be because everything Man United I've cancelled. I don't even go on the website, so I'm really out of the loop. But that's because I've decided to sacrifice what I want to try and get the Glazers out, and that's by the by. But for me, there needs to be a balance. And I look at what Brighton are doing, and I think the difference between them and a lot of the teams at the top of the league, and this is why I've always said, if my son's good enough to play professional football, I would rather him go to a team like Brighton as an academy player or Southampton than I would Man United. Because I think there's a way through. Like a lot of the big teams in the Prem wouldn't be giving 18-year-olds lots of starting time in teams anymore. Maybe one gets to come through like that, but not 2, 3, 4, 5 at a time like you get at a Brighton. So I think there's a mixture, but we do need to also get back to bringing in people that you're not really expecting. And the irony is in the summer, we kind of did it with Malacia. I didn't know much about him before we signed him, but he doesn't look much cop to me. He's one of those signings at 11 million. I don't mind it if it doesn't work, if that makes sense. And that's the good thing about this. We've got to get the balance right. I think we can't just spend massive money on star names, because historically, not just for Man United, even for Real Madrid, when they did the Galacticos, it didn't work how they expected. They expected to be able to beat anybody all the time. But my interpretation back in those days was the Galacticos, for the amount of money it cost to put together in that day and age, it wasn't a resounding success. They never won the Champions League. So by Real Madrid standards, it's a failure. So you've got to get that balance right, I think.
I mean, now you know the model where City buy the youngsters and send them out all over to the teams, Girona and places like that. That's where your risk is. So if you own 10 football teams around the world and you buy a young kid, he's definitely fitting in one of them somewhere and improving one of them somewhere. And that's why you look at Lommel in Belgium and places like that with the players that we've got out on loan there, Girona, New York. That's why we do it. And if they're good enough, they come to City. If they're not good enough, then they go to Girona or wherever. So the risk level is pretty zero. You can always make money on him. You know what I mean? We got a fullback at Marseille, Issa Kabor, and he's good enough for the Premier League, but they'll sell him millions. Ivar Ilic, Croatian, 12 million. Pedro Porro was sold to Sporting Lisbon with a buyback. Tottenham had to give us 12 mil. You know, you got Sarmiento, young Uruguayan kid who's out there on loan. We've got some players, Kai, we bought a team in Brazil now. We sent him over to Brazil. So City are doing it that way. I think United are going to end up doing it that way. If they get took over, I think they're going to buy a few clubs around the world and they're going to have things like that going on. It's the way to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, I agree. Man United have got to move into the 21st century, and we haven't done that for the past decade. We've been left behind. Our academy's decent. You know, we still produce good players, but with the scale that you're operating on, there's no surprise that you're winning the elite development squad title, you're winning the under-18s title, and then those players go out on loan, and at the very least, you're not kind of wasting money because they're being used in other teams elsewhere. And then, if not, you get to sell them as an example. Even look at Lavia as a prime example. I mean, you kind of look at him and think he might have been better cop for you this year than Calvin Phillips because he was out injured. But at the end of the day,
he was a risk. Pep couldn't trust Lavia to come in this season and be understudy to Rodri. So he thought, you know what, he's not ready. That's why we got a buyback in 2024. That's why we can match any bid now. So if Chelsea come in and bid 50 million, we can match it, probably take him back. But looking at him now, in my opinion, he's younger, he's fresher, and he's better than Calvin Phillips.
No, I totally understand that, mate. And I think from my point of view and perspective, Man United definitely need to improve. And when you look at the signings this summer, like, I don't want Mason Mount. I ideally, if we don't get him, I'm not going to be upset or unhappy. If he comes in, I don't rate him that highly, but let's see what he can do playing for a manager that clearly wants him. And I do think it's a player that Ten Hag's approaching. However, Man United fans have also got to look at it from the point of view of I don't believe he's the main guy we're looking at. I think a Declan Rice or a De Jong or a Caicedo, someone in that central midfield area, there's going to be a mainstay target the club goes for. Suddenly, then, if Mount is a backup to Bruno Fernandes, that's not too bad. Better than Donny van de Beek. However, you're right. There has to be a better scouting network developed at clubs like Man United. Chelsea have got to do a better job than just going, right, who's hot property and trending right now because he's good on FIFA. Let's go out and buy him. I do think there's a little bit of that. With the amount of players they bought, there can't have been the level of research into a player needed to know they are right for you right now. Equally, you have no idea what manager or style of football you want to play, and you're just buying individuals. It's crazy. You've got to get the balance right. And you're absolutely spot on what you said sort of 10 minutes ago now. Spending money alone isn't going to guarantee you success. It needs to be strategic. There needs to be a plan for it. We may not always see the plan as football fans. We may think, well, what are you doing that for? That's stupid. However, with these top class managers, let's see what kind of happens. But yeah, I can see Mount and Man United, but I hope it doesn't happen. Declan Rice, I think, is going to go to Arsenal, even though they're talking about £100 million hijack. I think what they're trying to do is get Arsenal to bid more and bid quicker, as opposed to just letting it drag on and maybe not quite get as much as they want. But Harry Kane, I do see coming in. You mentioned Chelsea earlier. They're now linked with this guy. I don't know much about him, and I don't like to pretend that I do. Some YouTubers do that. It's weird. Manuel, I think it's I'm not sure if the English way of pronouncing it is Ugarte. I'm not sure in Spanish if you pronounce it that way. He plays in Portugal for Sporting Lisbon, the Uruguayan midfielder. PSG have offered 60 million euros for him, and that's meant to be advanced. But Chelsea are supposedly coming in for him. Do you feel like Chelsea buying another player before they're getting rid of individuals is bad news for them? Or
yeah, look, they've got N'Golo Kante still there. They've got Fernandes. They've got Zakaria. So how many do you want? Where's it going with this? I don't understand. They're going to get themselves in a mess. But listen, it's not my team. I don't care. If they want to spend money, spend it. I don't give a shit. Because if my team was 12th, I'd be panicking as well. And I think a lot of the fans get happy when these signings come in. But you're taking your eyes off the main prize. You'd support a football team, and the team is the word. And you want to be proud of that team, and you want to have some sort of identity and some sort of structure. You can't just throw a mismatch of superstars together and think it's FIFA and it's all going to work. It doesn't work like that, as you can see. They've got players on the bench on hundreds of £1,000s a week who can't be asked. They're not even bothered. So I think the clearing the deck job at Chelsea is more important than the rebuild at the minute. I think they've got a great academy. I think they've got a great youth setup. Doesn't get used enough, in my opinion. I think they'd be better off if Pochettino came in and saying, look, I'll be honest to the fans, there's a tough job to do at Chelsea. We've got a big clear out on our hands. This season, we're going to see where we can get and try and get back into Europe. I'm going to integrate some of these superstars with the younger players in the academy. So don't expect too much of us this season, but I promise you we'll get it right. And if I'm a fan and my manager comes out like that and says that, I'm going to think, you know what? We'll take this season on the chin. We're going to get rid of a load of shit. We're going to put some superstars with youth players, and Chelsea, we're going to have a go. And I'd be like, we're Chelsea and we're having it. But they won't. Ten Hag more or less did that at United. He sort of steadied the ship, didn't fall for the Ronaldo bullshit, got rid of him, got rid of the ones that he knew weren't going to do you any good, and basically got Man United playing how Man United should be playing. And like you say, they got their identity back a bit. They were a Man United team that Man United fans were like, yeah, we're going to go in this game now, and we've got a chance in every single game we play. Whereas before that, under Ragnick, there were certain games where you didn't have a chance. You wasn't going to get in far in competitions. You wasn't going to beat City, things like that. But with Ten Hag, at least you know that he's going in the right way. And Chelsea need that with Poch. He needs to be open and honest and clear the decks and start again.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the most positive news today, which Chelsea fans should be focused on more so than signings, is that Todd Bowley is going to be stepping away from football operations. That is key. Let football people make those decisions, clear those decks. And look, yes, you've got to try and sign people. And maybe Ugarte is a player that Poch is desperate for. Look, I've been watching him for 3 or 4 years, and I really want him at Chelsea. But you might need to sacrifice a few signings early on while you shrink this squad, while you build that identity back. And you can't buy it all. And Chelsea are the walking example of this. Me and Lee Gunner got into an argument the other day, which I won, of course, because he was having to go at Ten Hag. And he's basically stating that Ten Hag's never going to be good enough for United because he didn't kick Maguire out the club straight away, and there's still dead wood there. And I said, did you expect him to get rid of the whole 23-man squad that he inherited? He went, yeah, pretty much. I went, straight away, yes. I was like, can you give me an example of where someone sold 23 players and bought 23 players in one summer and it worked? And his example was Nottingham Forest. And I'm just sort of laughing because, well, we're not Nottingham Forest. Equally, they didn't sell 23 by 23. It was a lot less than that. You can't do it. It takes time. And I think Chelsea fans have got to steady themselves and realize you are going to sign a few players this year. But you can't, I don't believe you can go out now and start signing lots of people at this stage of the window. Your first priority is get rid of 10 to 15 individuals, because if you end up in a situation again with a 28, 29-man squad, it doesn't matter how good these new signings are, you're going to end up being in the same position as you were last year. And that should be a major concern to them. It isn't that they're not linked to quality players. I just think, I'm not being petty, Willie. I'm just making a point because we're on that same subject. And for me, it's a case of Chelsea have got to clear out first. And if it means sacrificing a few signings, wait till the following year when there'll be another top star that you can go out and sign, because you can't do all your business straight away because they might not be able to get rid of everybody. Clubs might say no. There's a reason we couldn't get rid of Maguire and McTominay. No one wanted AWB last summer. But a year under our new manager, we will clear out the remainder of our deadwood this summer. The majority of it will go, and it will feel like a completely new squad by the end of this transfer window for Man United. There'll be further progression, as you pointed out. You can't, I don't know, I think Chelsea fans have got to drop this notion that they can go from having their worst season in Premier League history to being title contenders in one summer, you know?
Yeah, it's hard to shift players because nobody wants deadwood. And that's it. So when you're banging on the phone to people asking, do you want these players, or trying to get agents to move them on, clubs are going to realise that Chelsea are pretty desperate to move players on. So they're going to lose money on a few. There's going to be players going out there, probably bargain players and that. But I don't know. Under Abramovich, you already knew that the guy was pretty ruthless and that he gets the job done. Whether you like the way he did it or not, Abramovich got the job done. Whether he chopped a manager down or whether he cleared the decks, he knew how to do it. This guy, they're already talking about bringing in other players before he's even cleared out the rest of the shit that hasn't worked. So I just fear Chelsea have got another season in the wilderness for me. No European football could help when you're trying to rebuild. I get that, but for a club the size of Chelsea not to be in the mix there, it's a bit of a sad state. Like you say, I'm just glad it ain't Michael.
I hear you on that. A few super chats here. Hassan says Mason Mount is okay, but he was a huge part of stopping Man City from winning the final in 2001.
He did.
He also says here, Enzo is 22, playing in a horrible team. Give the man a chance. The game against City didn't mean anything to either team. Chelsea's players are on the beach.
Chelsea should, it might not mean anything to City because we're champions. But when you're fucking 12th in the league and you're Chelsea, it should mean something to you. You should be running your balls off trying to get a result for your fans that have stayed with you all season, not on the beach. So we can go on the beach if we want because we won the league. What they're doing is a disgrace.
I hope you stay on the beach, to be fair, until the 5th of June. It stands back again, says Steve, says Chelsea will get into a mess. Lol, what do you call your current status then? Conte is old and injury prone, and Zakaria was on loan, so the midfield is not the worst thing.
Well, I'll leave you to that. I know that team is a shit show, and I know that they should have come to the Etihad and put up more than a fight. To be honest, I think it's a strike force more than anything. I think it's toothless. I just don't think there's anything there to worry about, you know what I mean, with him. Raheem Sterling, just try to tell people about Raheem Sterling. When you try and tell these people on these shows at the beginning of the season, they think you're salty. Because Raheem Sterling left Man City, they think I'm salty. I told them Matisse about Raheem Sterling. I said he's the worst sort of player you could possibly sign at Chelsea. Watch. Look what's he done. Fuck off. He's not even in the England squad now. Like you say, and the other night he wasn't interested. Yeah, Raheem Sterling, man. I don't know. But that's just the Chelsea way now, isn't it? Just buy whoever you want and hope it goes well. Hope FC.
This this here says Kimmich offered to Chelsea cooking United. Look, I can't imagine Kimmich picking Chelsea when he has Barcelona and City sniffing around him. Personally, Dyke, I can't see that. And again, you're linked with some really good players. But I think it's the same pointed out. Yeah, Conte is injury prone and got issues. Zakari was on loan. You've got to start clearing out. And maybe that's all been done. And maybe these signings are going to happen. But you've got to be very careful, Chelsea, with the way you do business this summer. The zombie fanatic here says Goldbridge stated that Man United need a dramatic signing that's not obvious and doesn't cost a lot of money. I agree with him. All the signings that we are linked with are obvious and cost a lot. I mean, yes. I mean, the Goldbridge is right, but the question is who. I mean, and that's there's not an irony in saying it, but it's just there's nothing at the end of it. Yeah, you're right. I would love to sign a world-class striker for £10 million that nobody's heard of, but who is that? I would love to sign.
Look at United, right? Over the last few years, right? Cavani, Ronaldo, Ibrahimovic, Schweinsteiger, Di Maria, Falcao, Igalo. Is that the direction Man United should be going in? No. So when Erling Haaland's available, the United should be knocking on the door. They should be in the race. When Mbappe's available, Man United should be in the race. You know, Man United, the biggest team in this country, should be in the race for the upcoming world superstar players, not the fading ones that are going to Man United late in the career because they think it's a great club. And then when they leave, like Ronaldo, says the fucking jacuzzi was still the same from the 90s, and Ibrahimovic had to pay for his own bottles of fucking orange. That's the reality of Man United right now. So these United fans that still harp on about these superstars they're going to sign, they're not in the mix for them superstars. Nobody wants to go there in that capacity anymore. Anyone up and coming, Mbappe's and all that, unless you batter him with dough, he ain't going Man United to sit in a jacuzzi with Paul Scholes' toenails floating about. He don't want to do that, mate. He's got better options in life than that.
This is the thing, though. This is the point I'm making about Goldbridge is right. I'm not disputing it, but it isn't as simple as that. Equally, you need the club to be run right. Man United had the opportunity to sign Haaland before he went to Salzburg. That's when you sign these players. So it's double-edged. Man United could sign some of these players that we've never heard of, but fans then have to calm down because we haven't signed a name that's everybody's heard of. Fans are as bigger problem here as anyone. If we don't sign a star name, fans go crazy. That is why Ed Woodward got it wrong so often, because his tactic was, right, what are the fans asking for? They want a big name. I'll just give them a big name. And that isn't always the right way to go. Of course, you can sign. Listen, I want to sign Harry Kane this summer because I think he's the best available number 9 in the world. And we can't afford to just be in a rebuild for 3 or 4 years. We've got to win whilst we're rebuilding. At the same time, though, we should be the club or have the ability to sign Julian Alvarez. But no, he said no to us and he joined yourselves. We were looking at, I'm not a big fan of him, but we were looking at Darwin Núñez. He said no to us and joined Liverpool. We were looking at Gakpo. He said no to us and he joined Liverpool. At the end of the day, we should, Enzo Fernandez shouldn't be joining Benfica. He should be joining Man United. So I think it alludes back to what you said earlier, and you're right. Man United have got to improve their scouting network. We've got to invest more money into our academy, more money into our facilities, and create a better gateway for these young players. But all of this is done through creating an identity at the club and sticking not just with a manager, because people are starting to get fixated again on sticking with managers. It's not about a manager. It's about a club philosophy. And City have that. Bayern Munich have that. Benfica and Ajax have it. At a smaller scale with less money. When you have an identity as a club, and even if the manager leaves, you're going to maintain that continuity, you can attract people. Our problem over the last 10 years has been, 1 minute it's the Moyes direction, then it's LVGs, then it's Jose's. And the changes they've instilled is, we got to a point at Man United, where essentially we had 3 age groups at the club playing different styles of football through implementations brought in by 3 different managers, and they were all playing a different style of football comparative to the first team. So what that means is you can't even loan people out sensibly. I remember listening to Brighton talk about this. They won't. Every team at Brighton, from girls and boys teams under 9 right through to their first teams, both male and female, play. The utopia is to play exactly the same style of football.
Same as us.
Yeah, exactly. Same as you. When they loan somebody out, they will only loan them to a club who plays in a similar style of football. So there's continuity. So there's continuity. That's Man United's problem. So again, Goldbridge's comments right, but who is that person? Nobody knows. So yes, it's a statement, but you only can create that when the club is being run right, which is why for years I haven't ever had the main focus as the players or the manager. It's always been how are we run? Because it doesn't matter how good Ten Hag is, doesn't matter how good our transfer window is. If we don't get new owners and we chop and change again in 18 months, it's back to square one. We start all over again because it will be a brand new club project as opposed to just a new manager picking off where the last guy was. So I get what Goldbridge is saying. He's absolutely right. But it's hard to do that with the situation that Man United are in because the future of these young players, it's hard to promise it to them. You sign them under Ten Hag to play Ten Hag's brand of football. But then in 18 months' time, you've got Simeone. Does it work? And look, I hope it does work for us. That's why we need new owners, new structure, and we need to continue. But there we go. I think the United scouts aren't good enough. The scouts are good enough because they identify players that are now at all the other clubs that everybody rates. The club just hasn't had the ability to land them all because we've fallen from grace. Like, with all due respect, Man United have been linked to so many of the stars that you all know about, but we just haven't had, Steve called it right, we haven't had the ability to sign them. Anthony plus Malacia, unknowns. United scouting is just poor. But Anthony wasn't an unknown. Anthony plays for the manager that then came in. And the Europe knew who Anthony was last year because of what Ajax were doing. Malacia is an unknown, and I'm not a big fan of him. I've not been moved by his football, but maybe he grows over this summer, and as he gets older, becomes a better player, and I changed my mind. All of our clubs have had players that have started slowly and turned into stars, but we'll see. But the one thing I'll say to Man United fans to end this topic is you can't then moan about these signings if you've not heard of them. You can't ask for that and moan about it at the same time. So, yeah, have a little patience if we do it. I did want to ask you, Steve. Spurs rejected again.
I said it the other week, man, about Tottenham. It's fucking draining even talking about Tottenham, innit?
Crazy. The funniest bit about this, the video's been deleted now by Football Daily. I was on the phone to KJ earlier on today. We're just planning tonight's show and guests and stuff for Top 6 tomorrow. And the news came out about the rejection. And I said, you know what's going to happen, though, in the next hour? All the Spurs press are going to say, actually, Spurs walked away. It was too much money, or they couldn't get the job done. Guess what happened within an hour? Same. It's too much money. And the way, this is what's crazy. According to the Spurs press, who too many Spurs fans believe, they've now walked away from their main 4 targets as managers. They walked away from Poch. They walked away from Luis Enrique. They walked away from Nagelsmann. And they walked away from Arne Slot. They genuinely are a joke. They're genuinely
do you know what? I'm going to be honest. If I'm Daniel leaving me, yeah, I'll go to Brighton and I get that Deserbi, no matter what it costs. I get him now. Go in, get him out of that contract at Brighton, offer him whatever he wants. Spurs are on last chance saloon with Harry Kane, Son, the club, the top 6, big 6. Now you put Spurs in, they're on last chance saloon. Newcastle on their ass. They've got one more chance at this to get this right. I go there, I knock on his door, I say to Brighton how much compensation's in his contract. There you go, and I offer him a massive deal, and I get him at Spurs because he's a very clever manager. He's very energetic. He's look at that Brighton team. He get a tune. He's a manager that will get a tune out of an average team because he's a winner and he's very vocal and he's very energetic and he has the players. They run through brick walls for him. They pressed Man City last night. I know we didn't have Ruben Diaz at the back and they pressed us a bit and he caused us quite a bit of shit. Yeah. I just think that's the only option for me. If Tottenham don't go and get him, somebody else is getting him. And I think he's one of the best about.
I think he's class. What he has achieved with Brighton is nothing short of sensational. It's sensational. And another argument.
Brighton are a better run club. They're a better prospect for him at the minute. They're looking absolutely fantastic. He's got him into there's no pressure on him, right? Does he want to jump out of that right into a fucking cauldron at Tottenham? And that is what they've created at Tottenham on and off the pitch. The chairman's hard work to deal with. The board are hard work to deal with. The fans are now hard work because they've been sold a dream that's never coming true. So it's not an attractive proposition at Tottenham now as a football club. Whether Tottenham fans want to hear that or not, whether they want to call me all the names under the sun, I'm telling you the truth. Tottenham is not a place for up-and-coming managers now to go unless you're absolutely paying them fortunes. And that is the position they've got themselves in.
He'll reject Tottenham as it stands right now. What you just said about Brighton, they are, for me, I've said this for about 2-3 years now, pound for pound, the best run club in England. You're a better run club, but you have a lot more resource than them. And I mean that with absolute respect. I've had this argument on other straight fact shows recently, where legitimately it honestly makes me want to laugh. It was with Lee, to be fair, and I'm only saying it because it's topical. But he hates Brighton. He hates them. He thinks that they're not that good. Why are we celebrating them? Because they're not winning the league. Unless you're winning the league, it's failure. It's like, mate, they turn over about 174 million pounds a year. 2 years ago, they were investing so much money, they were making 50 to 60 million pounds a year losses. They've just made profit of 24 million in their last financial year. Their turnover a year is on average 20 million less than Man City and Man United spend per summer on players. Their turnover, let alone like what they can afford to spend on players. Pound for pound, what they are achieving, coming sixth, getting into the Europa, is nothing short of sensational. Now, over the, they're in the Europa, they're slowly going to, if they keep doing this and they maintain this, they'll keep growing their income, they'll grow their revenues, they'll grow the size of their fan base. But it's going to take time. You can't go from where Brighton were a decade, 15 years ago, to competing with Man City, Liverpool, Barcelona, Real Madrid, either in competitions consistently or in the transfer market. But what they've done is sensational. And De Zerbi, he has taken a team that were very good under Graham Potter, and he has turned them into a very dangerous outfit. And he's doing it with all due respect, with a number of kids that nobody's heard of. Back to Mark Goldbridge's point earlier about better scouting. Man United do need to improve their scouts 100%, and other teams, are probably in that same boat. But what he's doing with the Encisos of this world, £4 million for Caicedo, Matoma that nobody have heard of, absolutely out of this world. But equally, what he's done with the likes of Dunk, what he has done with Steele in goal, what he's done with Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck, if Danny Welbeck was playing like this at Man United, he'd still be at Man United. He looks great. And this guy is amazing. But the advice I'd give De Zerbi, if you're listening, mate, is stay so far away from Tottenham or any poorly run club as you can. And I think a lot of managers are, Steve. And I'm not digging Spurs out to like banter their fans. I'm speaking real. This happened 2 summers ago where you ended up with Nuno, because he was the 14th choice. It's happening again this summer where your first, second, and third, fourth, fifth choice have all said no or joined other teams. Now, I got stick on the 2nd of April when I said Rodgers to Spurs is on. And a few journalists told me that Spurs are interested, but he's not a priority. So I do the deal is on thing. It's just a little bit of fun for me on social media. On just means it can happen. It might not, but it can. The pelters I got from Tottenham fans, some of them, I've saved so many of them. No way would we drop to that level. No way would we go to him. It will be a star. Who's left? Like, you're right. Go get De Zerbi. He ain't going to go there. Slot said no. Legitimate, when you start looking at it now, who's left? Enrique, they were looking at. PSG now want him. He ain't going to turn down PSG for Tottenham.
The thing is with Holland, the league standard in Holland is nowhere near the Premier League. So with Ten Hag, you could see with Ten Hag, he was doing it in the Champions League as well. So you can sort of see he was getting it. Feyenoord, watch Feyenoord in the Champions League next year under Slot. Watch them. Be nowhere. And it's a big risk, man. It's a big risk. You can't risk it. The Slot, and if he's turning down Tottenham, no disrespect, but then you've got a problem, innit? Because nobody from Holland should be turning down a Premier League club. No disrespect. It's not a top 6 Premier League club.
Well, but I think it's because he realizes it's a poison chalice. Now, Spurs,
yeah, well, that's what it is. Exactly what it is. Yeah,
it is. And I think Spurs are putting out this story of well, he wanted 15 million a year or 13 million a year, and it was too much money. But it isn't if he's your main target, is it? And I don't think he was asking for that much, personally, because he won't get 1/3 of that in the Eredivisie. He's not going to get it. So why would he turn down even half of what, 7-8 million a year? He's not getting that over there. I think he said no to Tottenham because he's like, you know what? This ain't right. Conte said no originally and should never have changed his mind. They are by the way, and I'm speaking from experience here, they are a poor run football club, just as Man United are. The only difference between Man United and Tottenham is we waste more money have wasted more money in the transfer market in the last decade than they have. That's the only real difference. They do what we do on a smaller budget. So you end up in an even worse position. And when Harry Kane leaves, if they don't get it right, they are going to fall off. Forget top 6, big 6. You're talking maybe not top bloody half. They could fall off massively. They really could as a football club. They're in absolute bits. Getting rejected by Slot. We just spoke about finding players that you don't recognize. I didn't really know who he was until he was linked to Tottenham. I don't watch the Dutch league. Like, I wasn't aware of who this guy was. I thought it was a spelling mistake when I saw his name.
You need to make a stand on your channel, on your show, the top 6, whatever it show is, and get rid of fucking Tottenham and put Newcastle in it, because that's going to happen. So you might as well do that now. Be the first to do it, because someone's going to do it. Someone's going to do it, and everyone will follow. Be the first. Brother, don't create a Magnificent Seven show, because that's a coward's way out. Tell a Tottenham fan to get his chicken and fuck off, because the big Arab Geordie's turning up. That's what I'd say. That's what I'd say.
The magpies pecking at the chickens, you know.
Exactly.
We've already added
nothing to answer for. Now he's gone, man.
We've already added Pete. Pete Davey, who's a member of the Toon Army. So we've already added a Newcastle fan to the show. So he's been on there, and there we go.
They deserve it, man. They deserve it. They got to be in there, man.
Of course they have, and their summer's going to be interesting as well, because they're looking to there's a lot. They've got the new shirt sponsor coming from a company that everyone got outraged by yesterday. It took 5 minutes of research to prove it's a real company. They're looking at
some website though.
No, well, it's being redeveloped.
Under construction.
Yeah, but
that's convenient. That's convenient, isn't it, when you get announced as a main sponsor somewhere?
But they've got 1,100 employees. They've got 1,100.
Do you know what I always thought about? Right.
Go on.
Right. If I bought a non-league club, say if I bought, I don't know, Chorley Town, yeah, and I've sat there and I thought, right, we need investment, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is look through my phone at business people I've dealt with in my life and send them a message and say, hiya, mate, it's Steve. You used to deal with me then. I've just took over at Chorley Football Club. Does your company want to sponsor me? Is that a reasonable thing to say? If you had a business, you contact your friends, don't you?
Absolutely.
So Sheikh Mansour, brother, who owns Etihad Airways, is not allowed to sponsor his brother's team because apparently it's not a fair value. Even though we're the champions of England, even though we're getting into later stages of Champions League and winning trophies, apparently he's not allowed to get his brother to invest in his team, even though if my brother owned the champions and I wanted my business putting out there in the world, I'd do that. So, Newcastle are doing the same. Mike Ashley sponsored his team with his own company, Sports Direct. The stand was full of it. You got one of them daft fucking big mugs every time you bought something in the souvenir shop. He was milking it, but nobody said anything because it's Arab money. It's not allowed. People don't like it. You know what I mean? It's the truth, whether you like it or not.
Well, Man United might have Qatari soon, so we'll see it happening there as well. There's no doubt. But Newcastle,
you will have a Qatari sponsor because they want to promote their country. So they want to promote tourism and they want to promote their airlines, and that is what will happen. Emirates Airlines on the shirts of Real Madrid. They're on Arsenal. They're on a few other teams, and they don't get called out for it.
That's my favourite thing all season, was seeing Arsenal fans that had no to oil money as a banner in their crowd.
Exactly.
In the Emirates Stadium, it made me die. It made me absolutely die. We've got some super chats here. First one says, Terry, Chelsea have no DM profile in their squad, so why are you forcing negativity for us trying to sign one? That's very weird. How do you force hate on us? I mean, DJ, I don't force hate on anybody. I'm not forcing any hate. I'm simply stating, and I know you want to improve the squad, but you've got to resolve who's staying and who's going first before adding more people to the squad. You don't want to have a bloated squad going into next season. It's massively important. And if that means you miss out on somebody short term, so be it. But you simply have to remove some of these individuals, my friend. No top manager will go to Spurs whilst Levy is there. I agree with you. I agree with you. Shombe here says Spurs will end up with Lampard. How about that? I mean, if that happened, no, that won't happen. It will be, honestly, they'll end up with Rodgers or Potter. Do you know what really wound me up last week? And with Spurs fans in my comments telling me that they were too big and too big a club for Thomas Frank to come and manage.
No.
I couldn't understand it.
Another guy though, why would he leave Brentford for Spurs now? Unless it's money. I think Tottenham, I think Daniel Levy's hard work. I think the Mourinho, if Jose Mourinho and Conte can go to Tottenham and not get a tune out of that players, and they're both talking toxic about the club and the structure, you got a problem, because they've managed big clubs in the world and they've dealt with difficult chairmen before, but it's obviously bad there. It's just.
Have you seen what Jose said today
about the cup final and that?
Yeah, I was going to play this. I was going to play this video to the viewers here. Let's take a listen to this.
Tottenham fans, don't get me wrong, but the only club in my career where I don't have still a deep feeling with is Tottenham. Probably because the stadium was empty, COVID time. Probably because Mr. Levy didn't let me win a final and win a trophy. But he's the only one. So after that, Porto, Chelsea, Inter, Real Madrid, Manchester United, all the clubs, I feel connection. Maybe people, you cannot love every club. Yes, I love every club. I love every club because I always felt the other way around. They also love me. So with Roma, one day will be hard. One day will be hard, but we will be connected forever, like I am with all my previous clubs, a part of Mr. Levy club. The reality is that.
I mean, it's harsh, but it's his truth. He still loves Man United, loves Chelsea, loves Real Madrid. He won trophies there. He created history there. Saying that about Tottenham, I get it. I get it. It is. I mean, to be a Spurs fan right now, we're all sitting there talking about, will this deal happen? Will that go through? Spurs fans, they can't even get a manager, and they're being rejected by people from the Eredivisie. It's deep. I want to ask you about an Arsenal deal, and then we are going to move on to Arsenal and the title and everything on the show. Gundogan to Arsenal. Do you, as a City fan, see him choosing to go to Arsenal over staying at Man City or going to Barcelona? How do you see that one panning out, Steve?
It's not happening, is it? It's deluded FC again, isn't it? You know what I mean? They've just lost the league. They've bottled that. They're trying to get some positive press out of there. So I know what we'll do. We'll link Arsenal to Manchester City's captain, Ilkay. He made the Cockneys cry, Gundogan. And listen, you believe that nonsense, you believe anything. Ilkay Gundogan has got the pick of where he wants to go. If he wants to stay at City for another couple of years, he can. If he wants to go to Barcelona and chill out and do what he's doing out there, he can. He's definitely not going to Arsenal, though. So they need to remember that it's not happening. That's not definitely not happening. 1,000,000%.
A few Gooners are quite confident. A few think it can. Do you think it is just PR though to try and
people need to look at what comes out and the timing of things that comes out. Think about it. Take a step back. Clubs know what they're doing. Arsenal want all the fucking fire putting right away from them at the minute, because what they have done this year, 240 days at the top. Yeah, we are built different than Man City. They haven't got what we've got. All that shit that got spouted by everybody, all the pundits telling us how Arsenal have got over every hurdle and all that stuff, yeah? To do what they did in the last lane, That's like Usain Bolt setting off in the 100 metres and in the last 10 metres falling over, doing a couple of tipple overs, a couple of handstands and fucking finishing last. But that's what Arsenal did. They flopped it. Them draws, points, Forest beat them, Brighton beat them, City beat them, West Ham draw, Liverpool draw. That's not acceptable when you've been top of the league all season. If Manchester City would have done that, what they did, 240 days at the top, and then dropped them points, we'd have been the laughing stock of Europe because we're Manchester City Football Club. But I told them at the Emirates, I told them what was coming. They called me arrogant. They called me this. They called me that. You don't know what you're talking about. You're this, you're that. There was no mention of oil. There was no mention of charges. There's no mention of cheating when they were top of the league by 8 points. It was all how Arsenal was beating this big Man City giant and you can't cope and all that shit. And then when they fell flat on the face, all the bullshit came out from everywhere. You know what I mean? Oh, well, we've got the youngest squad, so... Yeah, but we did well to push Man City. No, you didn't push us, mate. You were top of the league. We pushed you. And at the end of the day, it caught up with them. They can talk about Gundogan all they want. They're going to end up with fucking N'Golo Kante on a free. And they're going to finish 7th next season. And then they'll all be fighting with each other again outside the ground. And they'll all be, you know, attacking Don Robbie in the fucking hot dog stand and shit. And then that'll be Arsenal back to being Arsenal again. So it was good while it lasted. But, you know, you've got to be built different, like we said, to come up with this Manchester City team, and they're built nowhere like us. No, nothing like us.
You don't see Arsenal coming for your title again next year, having that good summer. They bought the dog.
And you know the comments, they say I'm arrogant. I'm not arrogant, it's confidence. If you win 5 out of 6 titles, if you go on a 23-game unbeaten run when you're 8 points behind, yeah, and everyone's saying you finished. They were all in my DMs when we drew at Forest. You fucked, you're not the same team, you're this, wait till Arsenal do this, telling me when the parade was going to be and all that. All I said was one word, and it rattled the whole of North London, the big blue shark. Erling Haaland, on Saturday night at 9:05, messaged Big Steve in my DMs, Erling Haaland. I didn't message him. He messaged me a picture of a great white shark. And then me and Erling Haaland had a conversation for half an hour about what that shark did to them. And let me tell you that. So you can call Big Steve a bellend all you want. You can call me arrogant all you want. But Erling Braut Haaland knows that when Big Steve says the shark's coming, the fucking shark's coming. Close the beach for the summer. Don't go in the water because it's dangerous. And it ended up with a Premier League title at Manchester City on Sunday with blue ribbons on it. Like I said on this very show, we will see what happens at the end of May. And look what happened, Terry. Big Steve was right. So instead of calling me arrogant, just say you was right, Steve, and you know ball.
I love how you're telling that story in the third person. It actually sounds better in the third person. It really does. And so you had a half an hour chat with Haaland and the squad all must know about this big shark thing then. Big blue shark.
They know about they know about it because they watched it on the way back from Arsenal, but there was no one more surprised than me because I won the league. My phone was going off the hook. I was chatting to a few people. I was at a barbecue. And then bang, this Erling Haaland message came through and it was just a shark, a great white shark.
Wow.
And I was just like, wow. So I said, listen, bro, we told him. And I'm not going to tell you what he said to me because, you know, it's like...
It's private.
Yeah, it's a private chat. But let me tell you that when one of the biggest superstars on the planet who you've watched all season is a hero, to me, I'm a kid and all the family, message and take time out and say some nice things, and it made me feel good, man. And I tell you, it made me feel like all them away trips, all them coaches and trains and planes was worth it. That the players are actually, they know we're on the front line. We know we've got the best interest of the club at heart. And listen, he's a top guy, nice guy, down to earth guy, and he's got things loading. That's all I'm saying. He's got things loading.
Yeah, I never wish injury on anybody, but I hope he has a slight hamstring strain before that FA Cup final, because I am worried about going up against that guy because he's an absolute monster. He really, really is. He really is. There's no doubt about it. Nabil here says, this City fan is speaking facts. Arsenal did choke of the century this season and last season. I told you Arsenal ain't winning. It amazed me how people downplay. Look, I think when anyone downplays any team, I think the people that wrote Arsenal off as they're not even improved, like a lot of people have been up Gary Neville's backside recently. Oh, he's right. He's right about some of it, but he also said they'd fall into a top 4 race at Christmas, and that's not true. You also said United would overtake them. So they're downplaying Arsenal's season as if it was awful all year. That was wrong. Equally, people that were talking about City being rubbish, nowhere near their standard, I also thought that was crazy as well. But then I think it's that polarized world we live in now, Steve. Everything's either you're world class or you're shit. There is almost no in between anymore. It's very, very weird. It's a very, very weird world that we live in. That's the biggest flex in the history of the show. It is, to be fair. Haaland sent me a picture of a shark. You need context for that because if no one
sent me some other pictures as well, but I ain't going to show you them. But the bigger deal than that was when I told everyone Erling Haaland had signed for Manchester City and they didn't believe me because I knew, because I was told. And then I sent his dad a text. If you go on the City Extra show, week before he signed, I sent his dad a text. It was like my preaching to Alfie Haaland to bring Erling to Manchester, and watch the show. I sent him a text live on air to his dad, and he read it. So I'm getting the credit for Big Earl signing for City. So I want a bit of compo or something, or a signed shirt.
Well, his dad got £25 million from Man City directly. So asking
listen, he deserves £50 million. One for every goal he scored. $1 for every goal, man. He deserves, Terry. You know that.
But this is the thing with money, right? If you spend, look, Man United do drop £100 million on Kane in the summer, and he scores 40 goals in all comps next year, and we win something massive, no one will care. Cares. Yeah, he cost 50 odd million because of the buyout clause. You add up all the Haaland's
when
really
Eric Cantona
worth it.
When Eric Cantona was winning things for Man United and he made Man United unbelievable, did anybody know how much money he was on, or what his agent got paid, or what his granddad got? Because nobody gave a fuck. No one. It's just modern day shit, mate. It's bullshit. They can't beat you. If they can't beat you on the pitch, they can beat you off the pitch with a stick, and then it goes down to counting seats on Match of the Day with us. So, you know what I mean? I'd rather be in a treble race in Istanbul than sat watching X Factor. If there's any Arsenal fans or United fans out there on June the 10th, I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be in Istanbul, but I'd really like you to tape the X Factor. Will you tape it for me, Terry, in fact? You get it on record.
Fuck off. Mate, I hear you. Like, I see that I have a little laugh and joke about it and everything else, but it's not a W. Like, yeah, okay, the City got less fans, but you'd swap place with them right now as a football team without a shadow of a doubt. Big up, Big Steve. I can't wait till we smash United. Do you think you'll beat us in the final?
Yeah, man. Got to be confident, haven't we? It's a cup final. I've been there before, confident, got beat by Wigan, so I know what it tastes like to get a smack in the mouth in an FA Cup final. So, you know, but what kind of a City fan, the way we are now, the run we're on now, would go to there and think that Man United was going to beat us? So, yeah, I think it's for us. We've got a lot to lose. You've got a lot to gain. You can say you stopped the treble and all that. So it's going to be a shootout, mate. It's going to be a shootout, and we're ready for it.
It's absolutely true. And on the final, I just want to say, viewers, I put the link in the comment section again. It's also pinned. There's about 24 hours left into our live draw for 2 tickets to the final plus £250 spending money. It's going to be whatever happens in that FA Cup final history. It's either going to be Man United stop the treble, which will be massive, or City complete 2 of the trophies needed to go on and win the treble, and it builds up that final. And if you're a City fan, even if you're a football fan, enter the draw, be part of either the treble being stopped or the treble being done. Legitimately, enter the raffle right now. The link's in the description or in the live comment section. Get yourself into it. You've only got 24 hours left. But yeah, I listened to what your manager said. It was a very weird interview your manager gave yesterday because he pretended that he was a little boy watching the Man United do the treble when he was 28 years old and the Barcelona captain. I don't know, strange.
He's probably still pissed from Sunday.
Yeah. But I think what he was saying though, the finals will be tough because finals typically are, and I hope they're tough. You are the favourites without a shadow of a doubt. My only real fear is you battering us like you did at the Etihad. That's all I want to not happen. More than I want to win, and of course I don't want to lose in any capacity, but I just don't want to be beaten embarrassingly on your road to getting that treble because it adds insult to injury, salt into the wound, and I just can't. I don't know if I can cope with that.
I'll take 1-0, me. I don't care. I'll take 1-0. Get it done.
Yeah, I agree. If United win the FA Cup and make top 4, and City doesn't win the Champions League, does Erik ten Hag deserve manager of the season?
Not really.
I think he should be in the running for it. I think if he does what you've said there, but I think Pep, De Zerbi, Eddie Howe, in and around it. But I do think, yeah, Ten Hag's a candidate. Even though
Liverpool won the Carabao last season, and their
manager got it,
the FA Cup. But he got to but he was on the verge of the
quad. Yeah, and if you're on the verge of the treble, I still think being there is really big. This here says, is Haaland getting banned for swearing on TV? No,
desperado shit, that mate. But whatever.
Yeah, I know why people are saying it, because Rooney did back in the day. But then I don't want to defend a City player, but Rooney swore directly at the camera with a message. Haaland was just, there is a slight difference, but no, he's not going to get banned.
Haaland swore on TV on the first game of the season when he said against West Ham, when he said he missed some chances, he was shit. And then they went, can you watch your language, please? So, it is what it is. You can't go. It is what it is.
No, I hear you. This says, what history has taught us United only team that can stop this treble? We have done it before with Liverpool, and Arsenal was unbeaten. And we stopped Arsenal's unbeaten record. City are 100% winning the Champions League. Yeah, I think you will win the Champions League. I think you'll win the Champions League comfortably as well. I think 3 or 4.
I don't want to be sat out there again on my nerves. But it's City in it. I'm waiting for it. You know what I mean?
I hear you. Enjoy your moment. Arsenal will still are still a bigger club. We were ahead of expectations and weren't ready to win the league this season. # headed back. Sorry.
See, there's that thing again, Terry. Arsenal are still a bigger club. That's great. That's fucking fantastic. I'm so happy that you are a big club, because we just won the league again. And I'm at the FA Cup final next Saturday. And I'm going to Istanbul on June the 10th. So stick to being a big club, because it's doing you great at the minute. But I'll stick up being over here, being a small club with no history. And it's life's good over here at the minute in the small club world.
Do you know what's mad though? When you actually I was looking at this, right? And sort of breaking this down the other day. I was looking at the amount of trophies that City have won, and I get the moment. Yeah, Arsenal are still bigger. There's no doubt about that. They've still won more, but you guys are closing in quick. You guys are closing in.
Nobody cares, Terry. We don't give a shit. We don't care about that big club bullshit. All we care about is what Man City are doing. Yeah, Centurion's never been done in the history of English football. Formidable's never been done in the history of English football. The treble they told us would never be done. Yeah, we're on the verge of it. The three-peat. Yeah, Man United just saying you'll never win 3 in a row. We've done it. Yeah. So anyone that wants to go on about big clubs and all that crap and history and that, carry on, because our history in the last 10 years is fucking outdoing most of them. So, we're still growing. Our history's being made. My kids will be bouncing down the street as champions talking about fucking European Cups. Arsenal fans, the way they're going, you might get the odd Carabao every now and then because it ain't looking good.
But this is the thing. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, you don't kind of care, and I understand that. But that argument from fans is starting to wear thin because you're catching very quickly. And you suddenly, if you do a treble this year and you had a Champions League to it and a treble, yes, you may have slightly less trophies in some clubs, but you start to look at the achievements within those trophies as well, and it weighs very heavy. And the best way to maintain yourself is the big clubs, and this is why I'm desperate for us to start winning, is to win trophies. And that's the only way you do it. The reason Arsenal and Man United, Liverpool were the biggest is because we had the most trophies. But Chelsea and City are closing in and will overtake at the current run rate. So we've got to up our game. What's with Arsenal ahead of the process? It's 3.5 years. I look at it this way as well. Football gods, Nabil. I think Steve wouldn't be going in. I'm speaking on behalf of Steve here. You can tell me if I'm wrong. If Arsenal fans hadn't come for him, Steve wouldn't be going in now.
Oh, you want to see? I've got a lot of DMs in my. Honestly, half of them have apologised and said, "Please don't." Because I said at the end of the season, I'm going to do a list of all the DMs that I got sent with the absolute nonsense that they were saying. Not all Arsenal fans. Listen, There's Arsenal fans that follow me who've been great all season, who are football people, and I can talk with them. I'll argue with them. We've had banter and that, but there's some of them who are just ridiculous, and then they try and backtrack like little, I don't know, like little shitbags and run back into the cave because it didn't go to plan. I can't run back in my cave. I stood there and talked about a fucking shark. If that had backfired on me, Terry, I'd have been a meme all over TikTok, and everyone had me in shark suits singing Baby Shark. But at the end of the day, it came off. I was the one that said we was going to win the Champions League against Chelsea. Then I had to go on all the Chelsea shows and face it. But they've just not been that team where they've come out and said, look, we did well, because they did do well. We've had a great season. They have had a great season. We wasn't quite good enough. Okay, you can accept that. But when they're talking about fucking financial abominations and money and cheats and they've done this and Man City, money's made Man City happy and all that crap, it's like, it just makes you just laugh. You know what I mean? Just take it on the chin, man. You weren't good enough.
I get where you're coming from. I was looking at this here, excluding Community Shields. City have now won 24 trophies in your club's history, 1 behind Chelsea and 7 behind Arsenal. Now, by the end of this season, you could have a treble in there, a European Cup that they've never won, and you're only 5 behind them. But your current run rate, that means within 2 seasons, maybe 3, you'll surpass both Arsenal and Chelsea in terms of total trophies won, including Centurions, a domestic treble, and the treble. So this whole big thing, like, that's why I say to people, yes, there's a bit of banter in there, but there comes a point where it's like, that's going to run, it goes away soon, because the only
reason
win
the league next season, Terry, that's 4. It's never been done.
You do 4p. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Being a red mank, it's hard to dislike Steve, is what Tad says here.
Big up, Tad.
If Guitar by Man United, Steve, how scared are you?
Do you know what? I think Man United spend money anyway, so I'm not bothered about money, because they spend a lot of money, you know what I mean? And they get the players they want to get. I think what Qatar's got to do is A, fix the roof, B, change the jacuzzi, and C, get an infrastructure in the football club that works. So it can only be exciting for United fans. But as a City fan right now, we ain't looking over the road at them. We're just doing our own shit.
This year, Eric Ten Hag said, era's come to an end. Finally, we can end this stout old 99 story and build a new one when City actually wins it. An opportunity to build again. I will say this. I'm gonna clap back on that. First of all, of course he's gonna say the era's come to an end, because the question was around the eras that happen. But City winning a treble doesn't take. I keep hearing City fans say to me, it wipes your history away. It doesn't wipe my history away. It equals my history in terms of an achievement. But you're not going to make Man United fans go, oh, our treble means nothing anymore. That isn't what it's about. So, you can't wipe history or change history. We've still done our treble. I'm still tremendously proud of it. And I hope to one day do it again. But yeah, I hear what you're saying there, but it doesn't wipe. I've seen a lot of people DM, oh, you're worried about your history being wiped. No, I'm not worried about my history being wiped. We're not having our title stripped from us for cheating or doping or anything along those lines. So yeah, I'm not worried about that. The Spurs are embarrassing. Even Slot said no, and I still have no clue who he manages, is what Debbie says there. Steve, if United sign, will do you think we can compete next year with City? Maybe not win, but compete.
No, I don't think that. I think United have. I think they're probably 3 or 4 away from being up there, but they can't make any mistakes in that 3 or 4. I think they've got to be decent players. I also think United have got a few that they need to shift. Yeah. But as far as first season goes for Ten Hag, the way he came in, he's won the trophies in an FA Cup final. You've got Champions League football. It's been a good season for Man United. So I don't think anyone can moan.
I completely agree. And I agree with you as well. If we sign the right players, the right core, I think we'll compete with you. I think you're my favourite for the league next year already right now. But I think we can compete. You bring in Harry Kane, De Jong, Kim and Costa in goal, and then a splattering of others and clear out more crap. Yeah. But yeah, you guys are the team to beat, no doubt. I think the lead, have you seen this? I think the league should be decided based on who spends the longest at the top. Have you seen this video?
That just sums up. Do you know what? What I've learned as a football fan and being online, I've seen a lot of Arsenal videos that my eyes start bleeding because I don't know what I'm seeing. Whether it's some guy with a microphone and a Nigerian voodoo doll, or someone doing the moonwalk in the background of AFTV, or I've seen it all, mate, with them. So I seen that guy and I just thought, nah, that's just sums Arsenal up well, doesn't it?
Big up, Steve. Congrats on winning the league. United fan here.
Thank you.
Super chat. This is, but rivals and some Man United fans say the Glazers spend money. It's not about spending money. It's how they are running the club. Proper structure brings success. I think we'd all agree with that one. Pep was hyping up De Zerbi. He will be the next City manager when Pep decides to leave. The guy is the perfect successor. He could. Do you think if Pep was to leave, would you need a manager that's won the big trophies, or would you say Pep leaves in 2 seasons and De Zerbi hasn't won a trophy but still at Brighton? Would you be happy to take a manager who hasn't been at the highest level yet, or do you think there needs to be a stepping stone before going to City?
Do you know what? I'll be dead honest with you. I trust Caldoon to make the right decision. We lost Mancini, who won the league and the FA Cup. We got Pellegrini, who won the league, 2 League Cups. Then we got Pep Guardiola. So their decision making is second to none. So no matter who I want as a fan, I don't know the ins and outs. I know that there's a specific brand of football that Manchester City want to play. I believe from top to bottom, the club it's now ingrained in the club. And I think with our manager process, it's different to others. It's not just who's doing well at the moment. It's which manager can continue doing what the last manager did. So you might get a shock. It might be somebody like Vincent Kompany that comes in and he might not be doing great with his team at the time, but they might believe that he knows what this club's about, so they might pick him. But listen, that's going to be a sad day for every Manchester City supporter when Pep leaves. It's going to be a great day for everybody else. And to be honest, Terry, I don't want to think about it because it'll get me upset.
Mate, I understand. And do you know what it is? This is not a dig. The reason why all rivals should be excited about it doesn't matter who you bring in, you're not going to be as good. And that isn't, I still think you'll win things, but
he only, according to everybody else, he's only good because he's got money. So by rights, if you throw a load of money at Neil Warnock, he should win the European Cup, shouldn't
he? Exactly. That's just a load of old nonsense. Pep, he will go down he's already in the top 5 managers of all time. And I think he's because of his age, being only early 50s, he's got the ability to end his career as the greatest manager of all time. Whether he surpasses Fergie or not, that's another conversation. For me, I don't entertain that conversation until he matches Fergie's numbers as a manager in terms of what he's won. Once he's done that, then the conversation begins for me. But because he's of that ilk, the likelihood of another manager being as good who replaced him is so low, you will drop off slightly. But that drop off is only to give everybody a bit more of an opportunity.
Listen, I say it on my channel all the time, It's a lot of younger City fans who've not known anything but success. I say, listen, prepare yourself for 2 or 3 seasons where Manchester City Football Club won't be competing for the title. They might be in the top 4, but they won't be competing for the title. There'll be a transitional period coming up where things have got to change and it won't be easy. It doesn't just work like that in football. So you've got to be prepared for it. You might see who the true fans are, then people might get bored of it and not want to be around, and we get that. But listen, fans like me will be there. All our lot will be there. We're just ready for it. We're on a journey with this football club, and we're just going to keep going. But I'm expecting football goes round in circles and cycles, and you know that yourself. And
100%.
Definitely our little era will come to an end at some point. It's whether we can bounce back.
100%. Anthony says Spurs need to look at League One for managers. Maybe some good ones down there. Prediction for tonight's game: Man United Chelsea. What you saying, Steve?
Oh, fucking hell! United will wipe the floor with them. They'll wipe. If fucking City had to win against Chelsea on Sunday and we'd have put the big dogs out, it'd have been 8 to 9 maybe, because Chelsea are dog shit. So if you don't at least put 3 past them tonight, they are terrible, mate.
I honestly will be upset if we don't win by more than 2 clear goals. If we don't win by more than 2 clear goals, I'll be happy because we'll make top 4 Champions League next year. It helps us in our growth and development. But I want 3 or 4 goals scored tonight by Man United. Give us a little bit of confidence before it's not even about the league. It's build a bit of confidence in the last 2 home games before we play you. If I'm the manager, that is what I'm saying to these players now. Let's score a few goals. Let's play well. Let's get a feel-good factor back around us. Because it's been a tough last 6 weeks for Man United, and I hope so. I hope we do it. I really, really do. Craig says 0-0. Yeah, that'll be it. It'll end 0-0 and it'll be an absolute shit show. Can you imagine? I mean, if someone here says Chelsea will win, if Chelsea win, Liverpool back on for the top 4 again, it becomes dicey. So yeah, that can't happen. That way it could, but I hope it doesn't. If that's what I mean. Steve, always a pleasure to speak to you, mate. It always is. Viewers, you're out of this world. You're amazing. My subscribers, thank you. Super chatters, you're brilliant. Remember, click on the link in the live comment section and go and enter the raffle for 2 tickets. Plus, look, I'm giving you out of my own back pocket £250 spending money on the day. So it won't cost you anything. Get there, have a little food, have a little drink, get down there. I'm paying for it. Why not enter? Big up, Steve. I see all the plastic lawyers I hear. Some opposition may be upset even more by the end. Hashtag treble is what the Mancunian way has got to say there. Thank you for that super chat, bro. Until next time, everybody.
Was in the chat mentioning Roy Hodgson. Did you see it?
Oh, is he? That's his area.
He threw Roy Hodgson's name in the ring for the City job again.
We're not calling him that anymore. We're calling him Captain Custard. That's the best nickname I've heard in a while. Captain Custard is Captain here.
Custard, mate.
People, hit the like buttons. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon.